Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 21st Sunday of Ordinary Time. We've got two incredibly important topics to talk about, and I hope I can do each one justice. The first one's going to pertain to the gospel, and in my opinion, one of, if not the most scary parts of the gospel. And then the second is going to be about our parish. So let's begin here. Jesus is asked the question. And the question is, Lord, will only a few people be saved? All right. And this is a question that the church has been asked over and over again. But let's go to Jesus, what he says, first of all, because even today you have some theologians who are universalists. And what they say is, yes, everyone will be saved, period. Okay. And there's a whole spectrum of thought that goes into that school of thought, right? So some will say, yes, after you might go to something that's like hell, like purgatory is just going to be really intense for the worst of sinners, but in the end, they're going to get into heaven. And so in other words, hell is not eternal. Maybe there is no hell. Maybe it's just there for Satan and his demons. In the most extreme form of thought, there's, I hope I'm pronouncing this term correctly, it's called apocastasis, which was held by an early church father, and this was known that even the devil and the demons will be saved. This, of course, was rejected by the church, and outright universalism doesn't seem to have much support in the church as well. However, you will find theologians and people who want to hold to this, even Catholics, even though it doesn't seem to be legitimate. And so that's what's being asked. So will only a few be saved? And Jesus doesn't seem to support universalism. He says, strive to enter through the narrow gate. For many, I tell you, will attempt to enter, but will not be strong enough. Okay, so that seems to discount universalism in and of itself. After the master of the house has arisen and locked the door, then you will stand outside knocking and saying, Lord, open the gate, open the door for us. And this is where things get really scary. And he will say to you in reply, I do not know where you are from. And you will say, we ate and drank in your company and taught in our streets. Then he will say to you, I do not know where you are from. Depart from me, all you evil doers. He's not talking about those who don't show up to Mass. He's not talking about those who have rejected Christ. He's not talking about any of that. He's talking about those who have proclaimed Jesus Christ. And he's talking about those who think that they're Jesus's friends, And so this is something that's always gotten me. And I don't think Jesus is doing this because he's a jerk, obviously. God is love, right? But in order to actually really love someone, okay, and this is challenging in today's culture, is an actual heartfelt love for someone. And it's not just a feeling, it's a promise, and it's a devotion, it's a dedication. Intellectually, it's going to say that no matter how I'm feeling, I'm going to do the right thing for you. I want what is best for you, okay? So those who, just out of feelings, will say, yeah, I believe in Jesus and I'm Catholic, but, I want to do what feels best, so I'm going to ignore this stuff, I think Jesus is very much speaking to that doesn't obtain salvation, so those who are mixing today's ideologies with their faith and saying in the end the ideologies are more important, because I'm a liberal Catholic or I'm a conservative Catholic, that's not going to fly. And some people aren't going to like to hear that. And, in the end, I'm going to be judged by Jesus, so I'm going to say what's true rather than what's popular. And so, there's this internet Catholicism that's going on right now, and you can find someone who will support the view that we want versus the view that is true. And Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. Okay. Remember that a lot of the political and ideological things that are going on right now are going to pass. Just as when you study history, there's so many ideological and political stuff from the past. And people try to equate that with their Catholic faith. And it's gone now. And even though everything seems to be important right now, from 200 to 300 years from now or 1,000 years from now, the things that we think are so important and we've molded them into our faith, those are going to be gone as well. So when we asked about who will be saved, We need to really go deep, and it hurts, and it's difficult, and it's extremely hard to do. And it's one of those things where critical thinking sometimes becomes very difficult because it's easier just for other people to answer the questions for us. We really need to go deep and say, am I really trying to follow Jesus Christ and be saved, or am I just doing what's more comfortable? Or what I've, just learned growing up, or from this or that education system? What are the ideologies in my life that just need to go, so that I'm not trying to be a liberal or progressive Catholic or a conservative and traditional Catholic, but I am following Jesus Christ, so that Jesus won't say to me one day on that judgment day, I don't know you. And the reason he's going to say, I don't know you, is because you followed you. You didn't follow me. You weren't following me because you loved me. You were following you because you loved yourself more than me. Scary stuff. I'm not there. I'm with you too. I'm not. I pray every day, examine my conscience every day, and this is something that like I said, this is as scary as it gets in our faith. That's why we're called to be merciful to others and not to judge others, because we just sometimes might think a little too highly of ourselves, and we might just need to humble ourselves and admit maybe this church that Jesus has established knows something, and that we need to humble ourselves and follow the church, so that one day we may see Jesus in heaven face to face. A lot more can be said about that. What's going on in our own church, and I don't want to connect it with what I just said, so I'm not just saying, if you don't do this, you're not going to be saved. That's it just happens that these two fall on the same day. In our particular parish, we've been talking a lot, and this is part of the renewal, about three specific things. We've been talking a lot about, I hope we've been talking a lot about, right, because all the priests and clergy have been getting together, and we're really trying to stay on the same themes during our homily. And hopefully what you've been hearing about is discipleship, evangelization, and stewardship. And part of what helps us get out of ourselves and really into the mind of Jesus is to give of ourselves so that we can be free to give ourselves to Jesus. We've been talking about stewardship, which is time and talent and treasure. One of the things that's going on in the West today, and it could be going on anywhere, and don't get me wrong, I love being in the United States, I love being a Westerner, but whatever you are, however you're doing, there can be some dark sides to things. And one of the things that we learn, at least I've learned in my life, is that unfortunately the idols in my life, because stewardship has to do with time, talent, and treasure, is I don't own my time owns me. Okay, my talents, I have this understanding that my talent is for me and me alone. Okay, and especially my treasure, my goodness gracious, my money owns me. I wish I could say I own my money and I can give it freely, but that's lip service. It's really not true. My money owns me. That's where I get my false sense of security, right? And so we have this need to give. Okay, and the only way we can rid ourselves of these idols is to give them away, right? Our time, our talent, and our treasure. Okay. It's because we've been withholding these things and hoarding these things that the situation in our parishes has become a little bit bleak. All right. And in our particular parish, Our Lady of Fatima, we've had a tradition really of not asking for help. And the situation has gotten to the point now where we can't do that anymore, and we're really asking for help. We're pleading for help. And I just have some, I know I don't like to read from a paper, but I have to do it because these are just some of the realities that we're facing now in the midst of our situation. So over the past 5 years, some major expenses have escalated. Okay, the major expenses and related increases are both the parish and the school, and they include health insurance, which has gone up 34%, property insurance, which has gone up 212%, and utilities, which have gone up 31%. Okay, we should have brought this to your attention before this time. However, after COVID, we were waiting to see how things might shake out. Going forward, we will review this annually with the parish. Okay. With devastating losses in the insurance industry, every insured entity is being asked to absorb those losses. Energy costs continue to increase, as does health and welfare benefits, okay? And we can't continue to absorb these increases moving forward. We need your help and your generosity, all right? So that's kind of the state of the parish. Like I said, the answer to this is tithing with our time, our talent, and our treasure. And just some things for what we're asking for essentially is, first of all, I want to say thank you for those who are tithing. I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. Okay, so it's not as if we're seeing this and be like not being appreciative for those who are giving of their time, their talent, and especially their treasure. It's a big sacrifice, and thank you so much. What we're asking for is that for everyone who's is tithing, if you would consider increasing 10 to 15% of what you're giving. Just like, really? It's like, yeah. It's because just as you see the expenses going up in your families, it's going up at the parish. I mean, these are things that we can't control. Okay, insurance costs, there's nothing we can do about that, you know, and it's just going to continue to increase. This is what it costs to run a parish and run a school. All right. Like I said, for those who are tithing, thank you so much. There are some who tithe sometimes they throw some extra change in the basket. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. I'm asking the group that you're in to consider tithing more regularly and to look at your finances and see how you can kind of up that and give on a more regular basis to help us have that more stable inflow of cash. And then there's the last group who doesn't tithe at all. And I'd like you maybe just to consider looking at that and seeing how you could give something to the parish, okay? We're all called to tithe. And I'm not trying to get negative on you here, but it's just that, just so you know, according to the Catechism of the Catholic Church in canon law, to be a Catholic in good standing, and this is, you can look this up, this is the 5th precept of the Church, Catechism of the Catholic Church 2043, or Canon Law 222, it does call for the faithful to be in good standing, to be providing for the needs of the church. Okay, and again, I'm not throwing that out there to threaten you. I'm not doing it to shame you. You might not have known that, you know, and a lot of us growing up might not have come from a culture of tithing to give back to the church. And so this is just informational, you know. What do we do with new information? Oh, I didn't know that. I'll have to reconsider things. And so that's just an invitation that I give to all of you. I tithe. It's like, well, you're a priest. You tithe? Yes, I do tithe. I have to give back. You know, everything I have is a gift. And like I said, the way we free ourselves up from being possessed by our time, our talent, and our treasure is just to give it away. And it's great to give it to the parish. And yeah, it's ideal to give 10% of what we've got. You know, and people say, well, where is that exactly? It's like, well, in the Bible, we have Melchizedek who gave 10%. We have Abraham giving 10% to Melchizedek. If you can't be there, we just work towards it little by little. It's a new way of looking at our finances, you know. And so we all just need to steadily work up to that and to give it away, and to that way at the parish, like what does that look like at the parish, at the school? We can do so much. One, we can pay our bills, you know, and two, we can just begin to thrive, and we don't have to become we can't do that because we don't have the money. We can't do that because we don't have the money. A parish with a healthy tithing culture, it's not just financial. God is never outdone in generosity. I can guarantee you that. God is never outdone in generosity. So as we begin to give and show that we're not owned by these things, we will see massive blessings in our lives. Okay, I can attest to that. So let us turn our trust over to God, and let us give, and let us allow God to start taking real control of our lives, because he's so much better at it than we are, you know. Thank you for listening to me. I know this has been a little bit longer than usual. I know it's an uncomfortable subject as well. So thank you for your openness just to listen. And I hope God touches your heart. I hope God touches my heart as well, to take these things into a deep consideration and to start giving to the parish, so that one day all of us may see Jesus in heaven face to face.